Good morning, everybody. Your turn to computers 2K now on the Nissan Communications Network. I'm Amnon, your host for the next couple of hours, along with Nick.
Top of the morning to you.
Top of the morning. And Katie's here.
Good morning.
Good morning. And Gal is going to join in a few.
Very exciting, Katie. This is great.
Our number is 919-518-9773. Computers 2K voice on Skype. Oh, and yeah, Spence is still in Alaska. Today's show is made possible by vMix software and is sponsored by Tom Sinclair of Live Streaming Gear. So what's going on? Guess where the first weekend that Katie wasn't with us, which was 2 weeks ago, where was she? Where do you think she was? Tell us.
I don't know.
I was at GalaxyCon.
Oh, I had a strong suspicion when Gal mentioned that he was there, that Katie was also there. I had a strong suspicion that was the case.
Oh, it was amazing. It was kind of funny because the first day I went was Thursday, and there was a presentation. They were doing failed Disney attractions or like theme park attractions or whatever, and it said that the presenter was a Disney historian, kind of whatever theme park person. So I was like, oh, this sounds cool. So I went, and there was a co-host there who was doing most of the talking that I recognized his voice, and I was so confused. I was like, why do I know his voice? And he was hysterical. It was really funny. It turned out it was the voice actor of Shake from Aqua Teen Hunger Force. And it was apparently he's a huge like Disney buff or whatever, and it was so funny. I don't know if anybody watches that show, but it was absolutely amazing. And I was like, dang, now I know why you're a voice actor or just an actor in general, because he was hysterical. Also, I bought nerdy stuff, so that's what you do when you go to a con.
Nick, what did you just fix to make it so you?
I don't know. I'm trying to figure out what's going on with my mic. It keeps clipping on and off.
It seems like it fixed it. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, because I saw Katie was talking, all of a sudden I would just pop up.
Oh.
I'm going to go grab a pair.
All right.
What's going on?
And who is the celebrity that was worth you going there?
Brendan Fraser was there. So that was amazing. And
that is
Brendan Fraser is the lead man from The Mummy, the movie in the 90s. He was like a huge actor in the 90s. He played George of the Jungle. His most notable role for me was in The Mummy. And then I don't know their names, but I'm horrible with actor names. But the voice actor for a lot of the Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh shows were there. What We Do in the Shadows, Guillermo was there. That's the character's name. I can't remember what his real name was. It was really funny because at his booth he was playing What We Do in the Shadows theme song. That's a really funny show by Taika Waititi.
So you were there?
I was. Elman said that you were there too, and I had no idea.
I was in the audience with his talk. So yeah.
With Brendan Fraser's talk?
Yeah. Brendan Fraser and Guillermo, the guy plays Guillermo, and yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I mostly was there to spend money. I would go to the dealer's den and the artist alley and just buy a bunch of nerd crap. Yeah, I did drive by celebrity viewing because they had all the celebrities like next to the vendors in these little booths or whatever, and so not everybody was there because they would do presentations like you said and be around the convention. But I just walk through there and then take do videos as I go by and stuff. And supposedly William Shatner was there, but I think he was like tucked away behind a curtain, so you actually had to pay to go see him.
Yeah, he was. The governor was with him.
Yeah, but he came only on the last day.
Oh, okay. That would explain why I didn't see him then.
Only on Sunday.
Do I sound better now? I am done.
What? Do
I sound better now?
You sound the same.
What was happening?
I have
like feedback or something.
I don't know. It seems like it's as far as I know, the only time when you grab the screen is when there is sound.
Yeah.
That is. I mean, you are hot. You always were. But it's fine.
I'm done. Calm down.
Morning, guy.
Good morning. Sorry to join late.
It's all right. Yeah, Nick. It's kind of I should say. Okay, Katie, your mic is hot.
I turned myself down. So
yeah. No, it's fine. Yeah. Oh yeah. Okay. It's lower.
I moved my mic gate and all that stuff around, and I didn't plug in headphones to check its sense. So I knocked the knob or button or something.
That'll be a good test for Tuesday.
Yeah, I mean, this is the test dummy for the important stuff on Tuesday.
Yep. So what else is happening?
Elon Musk challenged the CEO of Twitter to a public debate over what their bot percentage is. I've never really been a big fan of Elon for multiple reasons. I think some of his stuff is cool. Starlink is cool. Tesla's cool. Not been a big fan of him.
Mm-hmm.
And he has really backed himself. You can shit post on the internet all you want and troll on Twitter, but he has really backed himself into a corner with this Twitter. I mean, there is a very high likelihood that a court orders that he is legally required to purchase the company at $44.5 billion. And there is nothing he can do about it.
Oh,
nothing.
Wow.
I mean, nothing he do. I mean, he can not pay it, and he can get thrown in jail, and he can have his assets seized. But he is really, really screwed up on this, and I think you're starting to see the desperation with, this. Oh, I'm going to challenge you to a live debate on how many bots. I mean, it's just odd.
You think he's that stupid to paint himself into a corner?
I don't think he's stupid. I just think that he
got bad advice.
It could have been bad advice. It could have been he bit off more than he could chew. I think maybe he thought that Twitter would be a little bit more willing. The problem is Twitter wants to sell. This is what we talked about weeks and weeks ago.
Yeah.
If this was a company that didn't want to sell, they would just, they'd have to pay whatever fees to break his contract, which is estimated to be about $1 billion, and then be done. But the problem is Twitter really doesn't want to be Twitter anymore. So they're going to try and do everything they can possible to not be Twitter anymore, which is what you're seeing.
Okay, so let's talk about this. So let's assume that he's forced to buy, and
Correct.
he's paying the money.
Here's the thing, though. He's not by himself on this, and this is another part of why the deal's a little tricky. He's got backers, Morgan Stanley,
right,
Chase, and a couple of other large banks have agreed to the deep terms of the financing.
Okay, so but he could rebuild the company and rebuild the trust in Twitter.
Try, but
in order to make it worth it.
Yeah, but again, it's not at this point. I mean, I don't want to get too far in the rabbit hole on it because a lot of it is conjecture, right? That we don't have all
we don't.
Details,
I mean, we just talk.
But from what I've read and from what I understand, I mean, this company ain't worth but about 20 billion, if that. I mean, you're gonna have to try really hard to buy a company for double its worth, And by the way, in the meantime, you're also running a car company, a satellite internet company, a space company, a company that is boring tunnels under the ground of LA, all these other things. I mean, it's not like this guy's got all the freaking free time in the world to do all these grand things. And I know he doesn't run all these companies, day in and day out, but he is very much engaged. I mean, we have a good friend that works for SpaceX, and he talks about how engaged Elon is and the things that go on, things that you wouldn't assume that a man as busy as he is would be involved in, and he is. Things like graphics on videos and things like that you would assume Elon Musk doesn't care about. Well, he's very much cares about that stuff. So I think he bit off more than he could chew.
Oh, so I don't. Okay, so now, was the company worth the 44 before the shit hit the fan? Then
No,
how?
in my opinion, no.
So how did these bankers and everybody who have all kind of people advising them agreed to back up such a deal? That also doesn't make sense.
Well, that's part of it. Not all of the banks are on the hook for the $44.5 billion.
Obviously,
it's all, it's different slices and pieces of finance.
Yeah.
And now here's the thing. Here's the thing. Twitter is a phenomenal platform for what it is.
Right.
For getting information out. It is. There's not even a comparison between Twitter and Facebook. How superior Twitter is.
Right.
It's not even close for news and real-time events and things like that. Now, it's not for posting pictures of your family or your cat, but if you're a political nerd like I am, if you're a science nerd, if you're a whatever, really into a certain thing, there is a Twitter hashtag timeline or community that is eating, breathing, and sleeping that 24/7. The engagement on Twitter is unbelievable. They just can't make any money. There's no ROI. And that's the problem with the company. There's just no way to profit anything.
Oh, look, if and I'm looking at it from a layman point of view. If I want to buy a car, a 20-year-old car, just standard, nothing special about it, and somebody wants to sell it to me for $50,000, and I said, "Yep, I'll buy it." It's obviously not worth that much. I go to the bank to get a loan. The bank is not going to give it to me. I don't care how much I'm asking.
I mean, that is part of it too. But I think a lot of this comes down to it being Elon Musk.
Okay, yeah, no, I don't question that for a second. Elon is Elon, but
correct.
The other guys, the big money guys, I mean, they can see something like this and say, "Hey, wait a second, it's worth that much, and he's going to pay that much. We don't want to get into this deal."
True. You would think that's the case.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So, the whole deal with Elon Musk challenging Twitter to a public debate and stats. This is him trying to show there is bad faith in how Twitter are representing themselves, right? And that is probably the only out he has outside of a contract. Because if a contract is drawn in bad faith, then you go to the courts and the court will rule, right, against the side that is messing around. So I think the fact that at the beginning of the deal, things looked as if, right, the company was worth the amount. And now, during the due diligence period, right, he goes and sees this doesn't make this the numbers don't add up, right? Then there needs to be a prerogative on his end of, yeah, I might be losing my due diligence fees, but I'm not supposed to be forced to complete the purchase. I don't want this hot pile of garbage, right? So shouldn't that be shouldn't that be the case here? That's what I'm not understanding, right? But that's the part.
Well, you are 100% correct. the problem that Elon Musk has got is he's made these claims, and I don't disagree, and I don't have any evidence to disagree with his claims that, nevertheless, he's making these claims that 20, 25, 30% of the active daily users are bots. I have yet to see anybody, himself included, have the data to back that up. And if truly, if Twitter truly has 30% daily active users are bots, you're right, Gal. A court will absolutely say that, well, this is the contract. The problem is those, in my estimation, those numbers don't exist. Because if they truly did exist, I don't think I don't think we'd have the situation right now. Because Twitter, as as Elon's doing, Twitter's doing the same thing. Twitter's the one that took him to court and is going after him to try and hold him to the contract. So if their active user base really isn't what they claimed, then they would just be shooting themselves in the foot. He has made a baseless claim, in my estimation. He made a baseless claim that the data doesn't back up, and now he's going to have to. Eat.
Have has any party presented any data, falsified or otherwise?
They have provided data to Elon, but that is a data that is not publicly shared, and I
But they're
wouldn't
a public
expect that.
firm.
They are a public firm, but some of the inside, I mean, they've some of the data they've given him is not data that a public company, like, I mean, Google and Alphabet are public companies. They don't, they don't,
I mean, it all
publish
depends on what the shareholders want to do, right? So
yeah, and I think it comes down to proprietary data, and things like that that Twitter is not interested in giving out. They have, according to Twitter, they have given him all of the data. He claims they haven't. I am not a fan of Twitter. I'm not a fan of Parawall, the new CEO of Twitter. I wasn't a fan of Jack Dorsey. In this case, I think that Twitter is probably the good faith actor, and Elon Musk is just in the canoe without a paddle at this point.
interesting.
I don't see any situation around at this point. I don't see any. The only way he can get out of this is if the financiers back out, which is a possibility.
If
Other
the
than that, a court is
financiers, if they what?
if they back out. I mean, if you have a deal with these companies, if they no longer are willing to back you or no longer willing to finance you, you can't purchase the company. You don't have the means or the assets to purchase it. So there's still, there is some ways. It's not completely gone. But it's.
So
it doesn't seem, the fact that he is challenging public debates and things like that shows that you don't have a snowball's chance in hell.
So are you saying that the financiers, the banks and the money people behind them still see that it is worth for him to go forward and for them to put the money into it?
They have to have a legitimate reason to back out. You can't just say, no, you can't. That would be the equivalent of you going and, as you mentioned, going and buying a house and, getting pre-qualified from a mortgage company. And then all of a sudden, you're ready to close. And they say, no, we're not going to finance you anymore. Why? Oh, no reason. We don't like you. It's illegal. You can't do that. There's certain terms to that.
Yeah.
And that's what that is. So
interesting.
Yeah. Very interesting.
Interesting.
So, if he doesn't buy you said he either has to buy the company or he goes to jail. He doesn't get a fine, or he doesn't have to pay partial or something.
Well, I mean, go to jail is a bit of an extreme example, I think. But I mean, if you have a court order, which in this case, they're doing this in Washington, Delaware. It's one of it's Delaware, where all the businesses are. Most businesses are incorporated in Delaware because of their legal system. So in Delaware, I mean, if they rule that he has to, they rule that the contract is enforceable and he needs to stay to the contract, he either has to purchase the company, and if he doesn't, he very well could be thrown in jail for breach of contract.
I guess I was under I don't follow it closely, but I was under the impression that he put a bid in and not necessarily because that doesn't make sense to me to go in and do and buy the company before you look at it.
But see, that's the thing is if and I think that was the point that Gal was making. If Twitter truly did misrepresent themselves, he would be scot-free. He'd be good to go. Because then the judge could very well rule, well, this is not what you were told, this, that, and the other. Twitter's proved that that's not the case. I truly don't believe that the numbers are as bad as Elon is claiming. If they were, yeah, you'd be right on, Katie. Exactly. A judge or a court would rule, yeah, no, this is ridiculous. You misrepresented yourself in a deal. I don't think that's the case.
It just sounds stupid to buy something before you see it.
Well, what it sounds
simple.
No, well, what it sounds stupid is to get into a contract for way more than something is worth. Because I don't. There was even early on, there was many thoughts that Elon wasn't even interested in buying Twitter. He just wanted to. He wanted to just be Elon Musk. He wanted to take down the company. He wanted to do this, but you can't just do that with a company. I mean, you're talking about a multi-billion-dollar business. And if you're going to throw around claims, they have to be substantiated, especially when you're in a legal binding agreement to purchase a company.
And I
Same
guess
thing with a house.
His defense can't be when he shows up to court. It was only a prank, bro.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's, I mean, honest to God, Katie, I think that's exactly what it is. I mean, this was his, and then he's such a jackass. He's tweeting out this week, I'm going to start another company. I'm going to start another social media. You mean after Twitter gave him some proprietary information during due diligence, he now wants to go and start another company? That's not going to help you in court. What a stupid thing to say.
He's going to go back to court.
Well, it's just, and that's the thing, is he's just stacking the deck against him. In Delaware, that's why you see most businesses incorporated in the state of Delaware. Their system in Delaware is incredibly friendly to businesses. Very friendly to businesses. That's why most businesses are incorporated. Which, by the way, PepsiCo is not. They're still incorporated in North Carolina. But many businesses, most are in Delaware. So.
Oh, well.
Hot takes.
Well, wait and see.
Yeah. Hot takes on C2K.
Yeah.
And I think there's a problem with Zoom because the camera is flicking back and forth on everybody. Nobody is talking.
That's what
it's
I was
got to be a Zoom problem.
Yeah. But it's only when you are talking.
It's when
because Katie was talking earlier and it was flipping back to me and I was just sitting
and it was flicking back to Gal too. I was watching. Yeah.
I'm watching the little dots, and as we're sitting here, it's Gal's little dot. Yours is Katie's. The little blink thing is blinking. I don't know why.
I even muted my mic because it kept jumping to me, so I thought it was making noise. I muted my mic and it still kept jumping to me.
You think it's just Zoom, or you think it's
on Zoom?
Remember, I mean,
I didn't mute it
in the beginning. I had to go back and forth on the audio, like I told you. I mean, do you want?
No, it's definitely on Zoom because I can see everybody's mic activating for no reason.
Yeah, you do not have control about how Zoom detects the other's mic. You can only have control about your side of the audio.
Okay.
So,
well, I guess we'll just deal with it for this week.
I mean, I can reboot Zoom. I mean, not restart Zoom.
I don't think it's I doubt it's the session. I mean, it's possible, but I wouldn't screw with it.
It just means I can't get up and take a potty break while y'all are talking.
Well, I know that's I need to eat over here.
You can, Katie.
Just turn your camera off.
Put mute on the Zoom session.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there you go. Weird.
Well.
What else is going on?
All right, so listen to this. A group of security researchers found a series of vulnerabilities in the software underlying popular apps like Discord, Microsoft Teams, Spotify, and many others, which are used by tens of millions of people all over the world. At the Black Hat Cybersecurity Conference in Las Vegas, the researchers presented their finding, detailing how they could have hacked people who use Discord, Microsoft Teams, and the chat app Element by exploiting the software underlying all of them, Electron, which is the framework built on the open source Chromium and the cross-platform JavaScript environment Node.js. In all these cases, the researchers submitted vulnerabilities to Electron to get them fixed, which earned them more than $10,000 in rewards. Now, don't worry, the bugs were fixed before the researchers published their research. But for some time, apparently, there were vulnerabilities in it. And it's amazing. So they all use the same basis for their chat,
It's
Discord,
not just chat.
Teams.
Electron is used for Electron is a framework
Yeah.
for most of the cross-platform UI-based software since I don't know, for the past 5 years. It's like it probably has like a 10%, 20% uh, um, uh, used across different types of application, not just communication application.
Mm-hmm.
It is Visual Studio Code is based on Electron. As are a slew of other editors. I'm using a terminal emulator that uses that as its core.
Interesting.
It's a very, very convenient, very, very elaborate piece of software. It's a bit like saying we found a vulnerability in Chrome. All right. It's not only there's a piece of software that uses it. It's it's um it's an engine. So
Yeah.
yes, concerning, but it's also, I mean, we've seen vulnerabilities in Windows, and all of the softwares for Windows use Windows, right? So
Yeah.
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 It just
Okay.
sounds like a very responsible process. There was the fact that there was a bug hunting uh, how do you call it, reward, yeah, bounty, uh, probably paid its due, but that's a bummer.
Yeah, but it's fixed. Those that they were reporting on were fixed, and because they
Yeah, I wonder
reported it
what
to
the
them and they fixed
vulnerability
it.
itself,
So
though.
we'll
That's
see.
what I'll try to read. Usually, there's a
Uh,
lot of the news. This is important about reading news about vulnerabilities. Okay, I mean, and everybody who've ever heard the show before have heard me say this, right? The fact that the vulnerability was discovered doesn't mean the gate was wide open. Okay, there might have been a small sliver in one of the windows that maybe somebody can squeeze in through it, right? But it doesn't mean that it was wide open.
right.
So it's always
Yeah.
important to see what the vulnerability itself was. I'll try to read up on it.
All right. Um, Another thing that's interesting here is Disney. As part of an effort to make its streaming business profitable, Disney announced that the price of ad-free Disney Plus will rise 38% to $10.99, and that's a $3 per month increase. The price of Hulu without ads will rise by $2 per month from $12.99 to $14.99, effective October 10th. Hulu with ads will go up by $1 a month. The price increases reflect the growing operating loss for Disney's streaming services, Disney Plus, Hulu, and ESPN combined to lose 1.1 billion in the fiscal third quarter. This is not a year. This is losing 1.1 billion in one quarter. That is amazing.
Well, I feel like with these streaming services though, content is key. And so
Sure.
if they lost all of that money in a quarter, I'd be curious to see if a popular show ended, if 'cause, that's what I do now with my streaming services. I mean, they all roughly cost the same, and so I just canceled Paramount Plus because the show I was watching was over. Um, so I don't know if everybody's doing that with Disney. Maybe the Obi-Wan show ended. I don't know. The only one I don't cancel is Netflix because Netflix has a bunch of stuff that I always seem to find to watch. But everything else, when my show's over, I'll cancel until something else comes on I want to watch.
Well,
Also too, Disney Plus, when it first came out, it had this huge deal where you signed up for 3 months,
right.
or not 3 months, 3 years. So you signed up for 3 years and your bill broke down to like $1.50 a month or whatever. They were just trying to get people onto the service. And so we're still within that time frame of the 3 years. I think sounds about right. And so I'm curious if people if now there's so many people that did that deal that they're trying to like make up for it or whatever.
Well, I mean, they just gave us a year free through T-Mobile of Disney Plus, so they keep
Yeah,
doing
but
it.
that usually means they are getting paid something for that, right?
Yeah,
Through T-Mobile. But yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like they're having problems with retaining people to the service, and I don't know if raising the price is going to achieve that.
Well,
Especially if
that's the
Sure.
thing is that it's always I would think that's the opposite of what would save them because a lot
I
of people are
know.
probably going to drop out.
Yep,
Gal brought this up years ago at this point. All of these streaming services have become what cable was
yep.
and
Mhm.
everybody hated a bloated, overpriced system software service that had a whole bunch of stuff you didn't want to watch. And that is exactly what a lot of these streaming services has become. And yeah, there's a couple of good things, but it was the same thing with cable, right? Yeah, there's a couple of channels you enjoyed watching. The rest of it you didn't care about. And all of these services are turning into the exact same thing at these exorbitant prices. I mean, Disney's now got more subscribers than Netflix.
Yeah, and they're both
Really? That
losing.
Yeah, I
doesn't.
saw a story this week about it. I was
Maybe
just as surprised.
domestically.
Yes, it was domestically. Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Okay.
See if I can find the story because when I
That
saw it this
that
week,
would
I was like,
actually make
"Wow,
sense
that's
to me.
huge."
That would make sense to me because domestically, Netflix has been losing the battle not only for Disney, right? For the rest of them, for HBO Max, for the NBC, for it's like for Hulu. All of these might not be big competitors, but they are taking a bite, right? And so with all of these players in the ring, and most people do not want to subscribe to all of the services, then yes, then that you look one of the things that may be good that has happened with all of this, if before we would be limited to only one cable company in our neighborhood, right? Because that's the only option that we had, uh, because that has to do with physical infrastructure. Now we choose which content provider to subscribe to, and we can choose to do it only one at a time. So, and they all have some sort of promotion of, the first month free or something like that. So you can hop through enough providers first month free and then get, look back at the end of the list of them and still continue to be on a free ride. So at least, and this is I'm talking about like completely legit business, right? No, not pirating, not downloading anything that isn't there. So that part not too bad. Um, I just wonder if, and that would explain why Netflix is losing ground domestically.
This is
That's
not
not the
domestic.
case.
This is worldwide. Disney has more worldwide subscribers than Netflix. They have 221 million subscribers. Netflix has 220.
That just doesn't make any sense to me. Like, not with the way Netflix is deployed. It's like Netflix is available in almost every market on the
I,
globe.
I know.
I don't think that's the case with Disney. So
Yeah.
how come? If that's the
Yeah,
case,
I was
Netflix is in
wondering
deep
the same
shit.
thing.
It's like in a crap place.
Yeah,
Uh,
when I saw the story this week, I was just as surprised as you were. But the claim is that they have more. They have 221.1 million total subscribers, and that's because of um, Disney, Disney Plus, Hulu, and ESPN Plus, which is all under the branch of Disney Plus. So I think they're probably double bunking subscribers. But nevertheless, I mean that is an incredible show, even if they are double bunking some subscribers.
so they're counting every subscriber on Hulu separately from every subscriber on Disney Plus.
Yeah, and I think it depends on the Disney Plus pricing is a little weird because like you used to be able to subscribe to ESPN Plus by itself. And I think now when you subscribe to ESPN Plus, you also get Disney Plus. So it's one subscription. But I think there are still some people that are only ESPN Plus or something like that. But yeah, I'll throw the article in the chat. It was over at Variety earlier this week. So yeah, Netflix says that the way that Disney tallies its streaming numbers is a little bit different than the way Netflix does. But I mean, even if there's some error in the tallying of their numbers, that's still an unbelievable amount of subscribers.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And that means, correct me here if I'm wrong, that even though they started after Apple TV, right? They bypassed them by very much and left them in the
In
back, right?
the dust.
So that means Apple were really unsuccessful compared, right? They're not even in third place or something. They're like not in the race.
I think
Yeah,
we might not be taking into consideration the audience reach that Disney has because think about how many people go to their parks. Where like millions of people go to their parks, and that's like free advertising. Everywhere in the parks is like join Disney Plus. Like they have Disney Plus in the hotel rooms, and you can sign up for this, that, and other thing. So Netflix doesn't have a physical location that they can advertise. I guess Apple can advertise in their stores, but like it's like a direct target audience advertising that here you could try out Disney Plus and then, just sign up for it for free while you're at Disney and then they just keep paying because they loved it so much or whatever. They're at the parks with their kids.
there's an
I don't know.
ecosystem around Disney. There is no ecosystem around Netflix. It is just a service.
Yeah,
Disney is
yeah.
a thing, and people
Yeah.
that are Disney are all in on Disney. Like that's it. Like as you mentioned, go to the theme parks multiple times a year. It's the whole thing.
Yep.
Well,
And I
not
did a
only
little
that,
bit.
let's remember they pulled Disney content from all other services.
Yeah, correct. And so this is the reason. As I dug into a different article, this is the reason that Netflix is a little pissed off. So when you have if you have the Disney Plus bundle, which is Disney Plus, Hulu, and ESPN Plus, they count that as 3 different subscribers because it's 3
That's
different
what it
services.
felt like.
Yeah, but even with that, it's still an unbelievable amount of, unbelievable amount of subscriptions.
Oh yeah.
And they generate a lot more. They generate 39% as much revenue per subscriber as Netflix. So they're making less per subscriber than Netflix, which makes sense because Netflix is outrageous now. It's like $17 a month or something. Compared to Disney, which is just a couple. I think it's for one of those services, it's like $8 or $9, and the bundle might be 15 or something like that.
Gal, go
But yeah,
ahead and
Cable Wars.
mute yourself too when you don't talk.
Yeah, that's what's doing it. When we're all doing that, and it seems to be
Yeah.
fixing it. It's very odd. I don't know why.
I was thinking I'm gonna restart it during the specials, but then
Yeah,
I
no,
lose
I don't
you.
think it's the. It could just be a problem with Zoom. I wouldn't
no, I was
kill
no,
yourself over it.
I'm talking about restarting. I was thinking about restarting it. Zoom. Never
Hmm.
mind. Anyway. So yeah, they're losing. So they're losing money, and uh, they're raising the price in order to make up.
When I hear the title that companies are losing money, I'm like, cry me a river. Who cares? You know what I mean?
Right. Same here. It's like, oh, they're not, first of all, they're not losing money. They are getting less revenue.
Yeah, yeah,
They
they're
are
still
still
making
making money. And
boatloads
that's
of
what
money.
kills
Yeah.
me, especially when analysts talk about it, right? It's like, you're going to lose value. The hell you are. You're getting to realistic profits, maybe, but not like it's no longer outrageous profits. And that is part of what kills me every time. But
Oh,
yeah, that's probably the socialist phrasing I had back in Israel, right? About the fact that the money grab, the capitalism is the root of evil. And whenever I hear that that type of talk, it's like, oh man, that rubs me the wrong way.
oh. All right, Nick, you ready to do specials?
I can be ready. Absolutely.
Okay.
We've got a little bit of a shorter version of specials this week. I've had a busy couple of days, but we do start off here with a nice little meme or meme as some folks call it, of a 502 bad gateway, which is and then a lovely gentleman who definitely works in IT, um, calling out the gateway like a bad animal, a feral cat or something like that, not behaving. So we start off with that, and then we get on over to some of the specials this week. And if you are in an area where there is a Costco and you do not have a membership, over the past couple of weeks, every Costco has either monthly or weekly specials. Their specials on electronics are unfreaking believable. So let's start off there over with this Asus 14.5-inch OLED Vivo book. This is a 12th gen Intel. This is the latest. It's running a 12700H, an interesting display resolution, 2800 by 1800. Excuse me, 2880 by 1800. So 1800p is the resolution on that. 120 hertz display. So a high refresh frame rate. This thing's normally $1,100, but you can get it over at Costco for just $7.99. It's obviously with the Evo platform on this. It's got the new integrated Intel graphics on it as well through Evo. So this is it's not a crazy powerhouse machine. Doesn't have a discrete GPU, but for something like this with fast refresh rate, so this is a nice machine for the price. You can check that out for $800 over at
That's 12 cores, right?
the mobile is 8 cores, I believe. I could be wrong though.
Okay, I'll check it out. But this is an amazing deal.
Yeah, it is. It's kind of a weird machine because you would assume fast refresh rate. Okay, gaming, because it doesn't have a discrete GPU. It doesn't really do that. So maybe you're talking. Actually, no. This has got
Well, it's Evo.
this is a 14 core.
Hey,
Yeah.
so
So it's
yeah.
yeah. Okay.
I think they are marketing Intel, at least are marketing Evo as a low-end gaming platform.
Yeah.
So I agree with you. It's not RTX, it's not Nvidia, but still, this is a good machine.
It is, yeah. So maybe for video editing or something like that, where having that fast refresh rate is good, or maybe maybe you play one of those clicking games, having 120 hertz refresh rate on Cookie Clicker will do you good there. That's over at Costco.
And correct me if I'm wrong, because I don't follow this, but at Costco, when you buy it, you still get an extra year warranty, correct? Or did it?
Yeah, they give a lot of they have their concierge coverage, and you have an extra year, and you can also purchase more if you want, like
Okay.
more years of coverage. Yeah.
Amnon, can you zoom out one click on the specials?
Yeah.
Because it's on the stream, it's all cropped. So while Amnon is doing that,
is this better?
I gotta wait for it to update. Just if you pull up the web page, you could or the stream, you'll see all the text on the corners is all cropped out.
Yep.
So moving on now over to Best Buy. So we go from one extreme to the other. Here is an Asus 14-inch Intel Celeron. This is not an Evo. This is not a 12th gen. This is a N4020, a 4 gigabyte. Yeah, it looks good on the stream now. 4 gigabyte card or 4 gigabyte computer with 64 gigs of eMMC. It is $100. Literally $99. It's normally $250. You've got 14 hours to jump on this. But be aware what you're buying, the specs that you're getting for that price. If you need a cheap computer for maybe a kid in school or a grandkid or something like that when they're visiting and need to do some schoolwork, this is as cheap as you're going to get for something like that, and it'll perform fine for doing basic things on the web. I wouldn't try to do anything else other than that. And you'll even have to watch how many tabs you have open. That's over at Best Buy. All right, back to Costco now. Here is another Asus. This one more, but this is a Chromebook, and it's a little bit higher end. This is the C424MA, their Chromebook. This is normally a $350 device. It is also running that same Intel Celeron, but in this case, it is running Chrome OS, and it's got a lot more storage. It's doubled the storage of the other one, 128 gigs of storage on this. And you can check this out over at Costco. $150, anti-glare. It's got AC wireless, 720p webcam. This is also a good contender for schoolwork or very, very cheap laptop for a student or something like that. And then finally at Costco, this one is a pretty good deal. The GPU is a little lacking, but this is an Asus ROG gaming desktop. And the reason I put this in here, and I know it's a little pricey, is this seems like it would be a great Docker machine to run Plex and Home Assistant, and it's a desktop. It might even be a little overkill for that. But this is it's got a Ryzen 5 3600X. It's got an older GPU, a 1660 Ti, so you could even do some gaming on this if you wanted to. 256 gigabyte PCIe NVMe solid state drive. There is 2 drive bays in this, so you could chuck some hard drives in there as well. This would make a good transcoding and kind of server machine. Yeah, for $500 is it's a little pricey, but it's not terrible. And having that discrete GPU, especially if you're doing a lot of transcoding on Plex, will help you out. You could even run some game servers and things that are doing things that are taking advantage of it.
Slap TrueNAS on this, 2 10 terabyte drives, and you got a perfect
pretty
NAS
ball and server.
Yeah, you can do a lot with it.
Yep, there's some hard drives. Maybe upgrade the RAM if you're running a bunch of VMs or something like that, and you need more space. But so this is over at Costco too.
You see that we just turned this machine from a $500 machine to a $1,000 machine.
Yeah, you're right. It's not a bad starting. I'll tell you what,
bones. Yeah.
If you went on Facebook Marketplace, you would find some old Dell desktop that is probably $200. That's 8 or 9 years old. That you would get and then do all of those upgrades on. This is already a much better platform.
Yeah.
A much better platform than that. So this is over at Costco as well.
Let me ask you this: how is Ryzen in power consumption? Like, is it effective? Is it
the Ryzen 5? I mean, it's fine. I mean, it's not a mobile processor. They do run a little bit hotter than, and I don't know. Well, actually, if compared to the 12th gen Intel, those things are power hogs, and boy, do they get hot. I mean, they've had to build these companies have had to build whole new sets of coolers for the 12th generation i9s because traditional AIO water blocks and things like that cannot keep the thing from thermal throttling and synthetic benchmarking. So you've got these companies like EK that are literally having to build i9 12th gen specific cooling solutions because these things are so damn hot. But this is a really good machine, or it's actually like maybe for this is a low end gaming machine too. This will
Yeah.
very much run a bunch of stuff for $500. Pretty good deal on
Right,
that.
the
over
starting
at
machine for a budding gamer.
Yep.
Where the family doesn't want to expend too much. This is great starting
Yep.
point.
Absolutely, and they do have it in stock as well. Moving on, this is something I don't have this exact model, but this is the JBL Extreme 2 portable speaker. I have the JBL Charge 2. The Extreme is a little bit different. It's got some rings to put straps and stuff around it. I love my JBL. I use it, take it to the beach constantly. It's got it's not waterproof, but it is very much water resistant. I take it to the beach. It actually sits in my shower. That's where I use it. And this thing I've had for years now, and I absolutely love it. I take it everywhere. So this one is normally $250. And if you go to the website, you'll see it for $229. And if you add it to your cart, it's $150. So if you need a Bluetooth speaker, yes, it's a little pricey, but damn, I've been very, very happy with my JBL portable speaker. It'll connect up to, I think, 2 or 3 devices as well. You can check that out over directly from JBL. And then final 2 products as we round it out here today. This is EVGA has been running deals on all of their stuff. We looked at a keyboard of theirs a couple of weeks ago. Here's a really cheap mouse that you'll actually get some performance out of. You could spend $15 on a crappy mouse that is no good. So if you're somebody that likes to have some spare components, here's an EVGA X12 gaming mouse with a 8K worth of resolution. It's 1600 DPI. It's got profiles, 8 buttons. It's got weights that you can put in there to weigh it out for your liking, and it's got RGB as well, which we know is a must-have. It's normally $50. You'll save 70% over on Amazon. You can check that out for just $14.99. And then finally this morning is a 75-inch Insignia Class F30 TV. This is an LED 4K UHD running Fire TV, so running Amazon's smart TV system on it. OS, yeah. Instead of running some other sort of web OS or something like that, it is running on Amazon Fire. It's normally $850. You can get it for $580, I should say. You can save $270 on that, and that is over at Best Buy. And that is a bit of an abbreviated specials for this Sunday.
All right. Thanks, Nick.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. You talking about a mouse. Last night when I was sitting here and working on the stories, I switched to my EM client, and suddenly the mouse stopped responding. Nothing. I turned it over. The red light is off. I look at my, I have a KVM box, and the light was just going on and off, on and off, on and off. I said, what the hell? So with the keyboard, I said, okay, I need to reboot. So with the keyboard, I shut down EM Client and Microsoft Word and all the rest of the programs. At that point, I'm moving the mouse and it's working. Okay, must have been a glitch. So I started email again and Word and everything. And 2 minutes later, bam, the mouse stopped responding, and I'm turning it over again, and the red light is off. I banged it on the desk. It's an old mouse. Nothing.
Give it the old tube TV treatment.
Yeah. It's not low enough that I could kick it, but it's fine.
Put it on the ground and stomp on it. I'm sure that'll get it.
So I ended up rebooting. and it fixed. I mean, it didn't happen. I left the mouse upside down last night when I went to bed. So I said, like, tomorrow morning I need to look and see if it's off, and it wasn't off. Weird.
Time to buy that. Time to buy that EVGA mouse. $15. You get a nice
Yeah, no,
mouse. It's got
that's
buttons on it.
I mean, I do have other mice here, but yeah,
Oh, I'm sure you
that is
do.
a nice one.
Yeah. And EVGA makes good stuff. Katie, did you end up buying that keyboard? Or was it you, Gal? One of you ended up buying
No,
that
I
keyboard a
ended up
couple weeks
buying
ago.
it.
Did
I
it come?
actually, yeah, it came. Hold on. Well, I don't need to pull it out, but I haven't plugged it in because um, I my keyboard has extra USB ports on it.
Yeah.
So what I need to buy is I don't know what they're called,
A
but
hub.
a hub. Yeah, I need to buy a hub because I really love this new keyboard. The thing I love about it the most, which is going to sound really basic, is that it lights up the keys.
Of course.
Yeah, and when my bedroom's not facing the sun anymore, it gets really dark and I can't see what I'm doing. And or at least when I need to type stuff. And but it doesn't have USB ports on it, and I didn't think I was gonna need it until I have all my work stuff plugged into my machine, and now I'm like, well, dang, now I gotta get a hub.
How many USB things do you have plugged into the machine?
A
There
lot.
should be 6 of them on the machine at least. Yeah, there's 6 of them.
You got a
There's
keyboard, a mouse. There's 2 of your 6.
yeah, well, so okay,
Wow.
I've got a thermal printer, I've got um I've got a couple hard drives. I've
Oh,
got a
external
Cricut
ones. Okay.
external
Yeah.
ones, and then I've got a Cricut, and I've got just a bunch of like artistic, creative knickknacks that need to be plugged into my machine in order to do stuff. And yeah,
Yeah,
they're all
well,
cool.
you can either buy a hub, which is a kinda, or you can buy a 4-port card that will go in the machine. And it has its own hub, so to speak. It's got its own process.
Nice. What I really need, or what I'm using it for, is just to stick in flash drives because for my 3D printer, resin printer, it uses a flash drive stick that I
Mhm.
just plug into my machine, and it's just every time I try to use it, I always have them filled up with other stuff. Like even these headphones are plugged into a USB to my computer, so
Okay.
I literally just need just one extra USB
Yeah.
port.
I
Well, I think this is a good time to maybe talk about this. So the thing that Amnon mentioned is something like this. This is a PCIe card that will give you USB
Yep.
ports. But she mentioned you've got a thermal printer, a Cricut. That stuff's not high bandwidth at all. So you can get I mean, you can buy the
Okay.
cheapest of cheap hubs and plug in stuff like that. Now, if you had um, things that were doing high, like if you were going to plug in a bunch of external hard drives to a hub, probably not. It'll work. But your performance might be dinged a little bit, but for printer, I
Uh,
mean,
a
binary
$10.
data, it's not that much, yeah, for data wise. So
Yeah, and I never well, okay, so I'm a video editor and I never work off of hard drives anyways. I always work locally. I just use them for storage. So when I need to back up my footage or I just if I need to find something on my hard drive, I have like a library of assets. So I always move it to my local machine because After Effects and Premiere Pro and all that stuff is better when you run it locally. And so um, it's all just extra storage stuff.
Mhm.
let me ask you this: how old is your computer?
At this point, it's almost 10 years old, and I
Okay,
really need to update it, and I was gonna update it a couple years ago. Actually, I'm gonna build my computer. I was gonna update it a couple years ago, but that's when COVID hit, and that's when prices hit the fan, and, I think are they coming down now? I haven't even looked.
Uh,
yeah, big time. You don't. So then, since it's about 10 years old, you don't have USB C on it, correct?
no.
Okay.
No,
'Cause that
she
is a
would not.
great for folks that have most people on a computer don't use USB-C. Now, obviously, if you've got something that you do, but the USB-C, those hubs are nice to buy because you can take them and then use them on your laptop too. They're dual purpose. Most laptops now have USB-C. So, and
Nice.
on my computer, I have a USB-C. I don't have I don't think I have a single USB-C to USB-C cable. that
My
I would even use.
computer, I
Maybe
love
my
my
Oculus has one, but maybe the Oculus has one, but I don't have anything else that I could connect through it. So
Mhm. I absolutely love my computer. It was built with a budget, and it is like the most maximum you can get out of a budget PC. That's been great all these years. But I tried to upgrade it to Windows 11, and it won't. It
No.
can't do it. I was
It
like, no.
actually allowed you. It said that it could.
Yeah. Well, I use Teams and stuff on my computer. So, Microsoft's like, "Oh, Microsoft 11 is out here. You should try your computer." And then I went and I clicked all the links to try to do it. Because I really love Windows 11's UI. Like they basically ripped off Apple, but it's clean and it's nice. And I'm a designer, so I'm like, this is great. I want to put this on my main computer. But I can't handle it apparently.
don't say this. You're gonna trigger Gal. He's gonna have to leave.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
No, I use Windows 11. I hate one aspect of it, but other than that, it's
They
it's a
still
fine
haven't.
machine.
They
The
still haven't
UI.
fixed
He
that?
hates.
No.
Wow.
What do you hate about Windows
Katie,
11?
the problem for me is screens today are wider than they are taller,
Uh-huh.
right?
It's HD,
And
yeah.
yeah, but the thing is, they are using the entire width of the lower end of the screen, and you cannot move the taskbar to the side. And I use my taskbar on the side because that is cheaper real estate for me on the
Uh-huh.
screen. And
Ah.
they made it by choice. They said we're not going to add that feature, and for now, right, people are just waiting to see. So I have butchered Windows 11 on my main machine, where I forced it to the side. I lost their start menu and all that. I use an old start menu emulator. uh, I have lost a lot of the UI candy that they've added because I just need my my
Mhm.
taskbar on the side and not at the bottom.
I can see
So
that.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I really love that the icons are now in the middle.
Yeah, that's a good no, that's a good call. I think they did it. There's some merit to it. There's some merit to have it on the side. It's not but it's still a choice,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
right?
I think,
But that's the thing. It's
the
like there are things that are not a choice, and
yeah.
that pisses me off.
I think that's what makes Windows special is that, you should be able to customize your experience, because I don't think you can with Apple. I think you get stuck with what they have, and maybe they have themes that you can change it, but for the most part, you're stuck with whatever they give you. So I really
Yes,
hope.
Apple way. The Apple way is users are stupid. We know best. This is the only way.
Yeah,
And I
yeah,
agree.
yeah. But it sounds like you were able to hack it apart and stuff, which sounds a little complicated, but at least you were able to do it. So that's why I would always pick Windows over Apple, just because you could customize it the way you want.
Well, if you really want to hack things, start using Linux, but then you're in
Oh,
a
no, 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 no,
boatload
that's
of
too
crap
far. That's
of a different
way
thing.
no, no, no. That's for, like, legit
That's for
computer
nobody. No,
people.
no.
Oh,
Listen
yeah.
to me. This is for nobody. I am. It's not like a recommendation because it brings you a whole world of pain.
That's no.
Uh, I I I love it, right? But that's me, and I know it's not for everyone. We're using Linux exclusively in the company I work, and I mean, as long as we're focused on using the tools that we've all agreed upon, everything works fine, right? But the moment somebody needs something a bit different, then the solution, there's a solution. There's always a solution, right? Which is what makes Linux great. But getting to that solution requires somebody to know what they're doing, right?
Mhm.
And so you can't really ask somebody else, hey, just go and update and install. And that's rarely a thing that will actually work, right?
Mhm.
There needs to be some reading, some choices, some decisions. And as as this as me, right? As the type that I am, I love it because I love the tweaking and the interacting and figuring out things work, but it's definitely not about let's just have it work.
Mhm.
So yeah, Windows, I think right now is the best of both worlds in that place, and it's getting
Uh,
better at being controlled by command line, right? With PowerShell and with stuff like Winget and stuff like that, you can, and it is currently the best system OS, the best OS to run Linux on with WSL2. You can actually run Linux on Windows. You can run an Ubuntu distribution on Windows, and you can do you get, it's not a VM. You get a native experience, and that is pretty rad for the design of it. So if you're ever interested in Linux and you're a Windows person, you know that you can run something called WSL2. Just Google that, and you can get you can get Linux experience on your Windows machine, and you're not butchering anything. You're getting a full experience here and a full experience here. So it's a very interesting choice. Something you cannot do on a Mac.
That'd be cool if Windows had like a Mac emulator and it could just like I'm simplifying things, but you could just push a button and be like, I want to do Apple stuff now, and it like just pops up the Apple UI or whatever in one of those extra windows. I'm sure
Yeah.
somebody has coded something like that.
Oh, there are some solutions. Apple will have none of that, of course. And not only that, is with Apple's move to the M1 chip and the M2 chip, right? Nothing is going to be compatible anymore. I can tell you, right, that right now, if you're doing something that is computational intensive, do not touch Apple for the next 4 to 5 years, because there is no compatibility. Linux cannot run natively on that M processor effectively, efficiently. It can run, but it cannot run efficiently. And so, running any computational workload on these just dies. It just 10% performance. Now, the Apple ecosystem is apparently amazing on the M chips, but it's just, yeah, I don't know. It's a choice that I understand in a way where Apple came from. They're looking for some autonomy. They think they can, but it's again Apple thinking they can do better instead of cooperating with the world and creating something open. They have closed themselves in again. I don't think it'll be their undoing, but it's definitely not for the benefit of all for now. At least we'll see where it takes them.
I I got frustrated with Apple because so I work for a company that is in the Microsoft ecosystem, but I'm a creative in the creative department. So they gave all of our creative employees are given Macs instead of PCs. So, but the company is mostly techie kind of, so they all get PCs, and then like the 5% that's in the creative department gets Macs. It was a nightmare trying to get into Work's ecosystem with the Mac, and like there's all this security stuff with like the company procedure and security, blah blah blah. And the Mac just kept like breaking. I had to have two different things open and this, that, and another thing. Eventually I just had enough. I was like, this is too frustrating. Like constantly had to contact IT to get it to work. So I was like, you got to give me a PC. You have got to give me, and they sent me a PC, and it worked instantly and it worked great. I just had to log in with my employee stuff, and it didn't have any like security conflicts. I was like, this is amazing. So I understand why Macs are great for creative jobs and stuff, and they're really amazing for all that stuff. But when your whole company is based on PC and Windows and Mac things, it's just a nightmare to try to like get them to work together.
Mac is no different as a creative computer than Windows today. It
Yeah,
might have been
yeah,
true in the 80s,
yeah.
but not anymore.
right.
I know, and it's that's just what the UI and UX people are trained on. I think in school, when we go to college to learn visual design and all that stuff, I think they mainly work on Mac, so that's what they're used to. I went to school for animation and rendering, and so we all used PCs. And in fact, I used a little bit of Linux. And so that's what I got trained on, and that's what I'm familiar with. So I felt more comfortable with the PC. But out of everybody in the creative department, I'm pretty sure I'm the only one that requested a PC switch. And I know they run into problems with like I said, with the back end security stuff and trying to get the work computers to work with their servers and blah, 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 blah. So I don't know. I'd be like, you guys got to switch to PC. You got to switch. Makes it so much easier.
Good.
I love this because you're the first person, right, who actually worked in both worlds, right, and brings that perspective. I'm just talking about the people that I personally met, right?
Hmm.
Because anybody who switched to a Mac or something, they suddenly become this Apple fanboys,
Mm-mm.
and I've always, and the thing is, from Mac users, right? I constantly see output about how they're tackling an issue that they can't solve, and there's never support for it or stuff like that, right? And whenever people compare their blissful Mac, perfect Mac, right, to the PC, I say they're the same. I don't get it, right? It's like,
Hmm.
I understand that you love your Mac, but be realistic and understand that they're exactly the same. There's no real difference. It's not that this is better than the other,
Hmm.
right? It's
Yeah.
just, this is what you like, and
Yep.
just frame it that way. It's not better in any
Yep.
way.
Yep.
And this is what, like when people are just the same with Android, right? At the beginning, you would say Apple is so great compared to the Android. Yes, in version 1, maybe, right? Today, they're exactly the same. They're exactly the same. It's
Yeah.
just you need to get used to working with this, and you need to get used to working with this. There are things that work better here. There are things that work better there,
Hmm.
but practically they exactly the same. And that's terrific that you shared that experience from a workplace that actually uses that, because I would agree the Apple ecosystem is not designed for any teamwork. It's just not. It's designed to teamwork equivalent to Windows 3.11 work groups. It's like it hasn't evolved. It's not built for enterprise management. It's not built for any of that. And so, yeah, doesn't make any sense to use it if it doesn't give you any value in an environment. And I mean, let's be realistic. You use what's it called, Photoshop, right? You use Photoshop on
Hmm.
a Windows, and you use Photoshop on a Mac. The experience is pretty much the same, right?
Hmm.
I mean, the
Well,
menus are
here.
practically in the same order and everything. It's like, come on.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So when I look at computers, I'm looking at um what's going to be the most efficient. So like I make videos, right? So if I'm rendering a video, is it going to take an hour on one machine, or is it going to take 5 minutes on another machine? I don't know the back end and the details of which is better and whatever. All I know is about the time. And when I rendered something on the Mac and I rendered something on my PC laptop, they both rendered at the same time. So, uh, to me, they're like you said, they're equivalent. But I am so much faster on a PC. Like the hotkeys are different between the Mac and the PC, and that drove me insane. Like it made me because I've gotten really good and efficient at what I do. And that all comes down to hotkeys and where the menus are and all that stuff. That when I was trying to do it on the Mac, it was like I was taking 10 times as long to do the same stuff that on a PC I can get done in half a second. So efficient wise, yeah, that's just, I have to get used to the Mac and it'd be great. But why get used to it if I have an option to request a PC? I was like, this is not only that, but all of my assets that I've built up and library things that I've built up over the years have all been done with the PC. And so I know how to get it to work on my PC. I just have to import it and put it into this file and move it over here. But on the Mac, it's different, and like when it takes me longer than a couple minutes to try to get something to work that I can get it to automatically work beforehand, it makes me irrationally angry. And so I was like, I hate this. This is awful. Give me a PC. And they got me a PC and it works. But I know that's the same for people that are used to using Macs. I'm sure they have the same situation. So I feel like businesses should allow the employee to choose if there's an option. Like, I understand if maybe they all have Macs, so they all have PCs, but if there's an option to pick either or, I feel like the company should allow the employee to pick what they want instead of just automatically just sending like, here, this is what we're doing. Because I had no idea. I kept asking, I'm like, is there any way I can get a PC? And they're like, yeah, you can. You have to do this, that, and the other thing. But I'm all for letting people choose. Like if you're quick
You,
with a Mac, use a Mac.
you,
Keep in mind one more aspect. That same PC compared to the Mac machine that they'll get from the company, it'll cost the company about half,
Oh yeah, yeah. And
right?
what's crazy too is that I was talking to one of my creative directors, and a lot of companies that he's worked for, he's also a creative person, and so they give him a Mac. He said he burns through Macs in like 6 months. And, like, because he renders and does all this heavy graphics that it just I don't know what it destroys in the computer, but it just basically just destroys it after 6 months, and he has to get a new one. So you're right, that's like a $3,000 laptop that he's getting a new one every 6 months, where you could get, an equivalent on a PC, laptop for, like, I don't know, $1,500. You're already saving. I mean, he's gonna burn through either computer with the amount of work that he's doing, but you're saving a crap load of money if you do the PC.
That I've never
you,
heard, and that's gold to me. It's like, oh man, that sounds terrible.
do you guys remember the commercials? I'm a PC. Oh, hi, I'm a Mac.
Yeah, of course.
Well, I think Mac guy just left the building.
Yeah, I think I
Anyway,
think they're really overpriced for what they are,
yeah.
and like you said, PC has caught up, so but it's what you're used
Uh,
to, so
listen to this now. Amazon will expand its Amazon One palm print checkout system to dozens of Whole Foods locations, marking the most significant expansions of the technology that was introduced in 2020. Amazon One allows customers to speedily check out at retail location using only their palm prints after storing a scan of their hand via an interface at Amazon's kiosks.
The mark of the beast, ladies and gentlemen. This is what they warned us about. Literally, this is
Absolutely.
what they warned us about.
I don't know if I like that. That sounds weird.
Yes, it does. The palm print data is encrypted and stored on Amazon servers. In order to encrypt something, you have to have the unencrypted version first, and then you encrypt it. Now, what do they
Well, yes
do?
and no. Amnon. Let's not.
Uh,
No. Look, I have I let's start by this. Terrible idea. Okay.
yeah,
Now let's talk about the technology. uh, Encryption means, yeah, you read it, you write,
yeah.
right? But only at the endpoint where it's read, and then it's encrypted and it's sent out. So over the wire, it's never going to be unencrypted,
Never
which is
mind over the
important.
wire. I mean, they can store it
What are you talking about?
unencrypted if they wanted to.
No, it will not be stored unencrypted. That's the key.
All right.
Okay. No, look. So with biometrics, right? The way forward with biometrics,
Yeah.
with the security consciousness that we have today, it is very important to create technology that we can trust. And I'm not saying that that's what Amazon is doing right now, because that is I've never looked at how it works. I've never read anything about it. So, but I'm talking about how safe biometrics can work. And when you give an endpoint the ability to use the biometrics themselves to encrypt themselves, that is the way you probably are going to go forward with that. Is it completely unhackable? No, of course not. But what we're really interested in is, first, we need a way of making sure that the raw material, the original, is never leaked, is never, and that much can be done. Can the encrypted piece be reused and hacked in a specific system? The answer is probably yes. One of the biggest issues we're facing with security today in the Windows world is what's called passing the ticket. And with Kerberos authentication, which is the most common authentication method in Windows, which means I am a client, I'm going to a server, we're going to both authenticate with a third party, which is Active Directory usually, right? And it's going to vet both of us to each other. That seems like an airtight thing, but the thing is, we're getting a ticket from here, we're getting a ticket from here, and there's a way of duplicating these tickets. So there's always a secret that can be duplicated. It's not going to be any different than a password. The problem with biometrics is the one that we are having today in the US with the social security number. Is once that's been captured, it cannot be changed, right? I cannot change my handprint now to something else if it's been hacked. And that's why we're not ready for biometrics, because even if we'll encrypt it, if if somebody can still use the encrypted form of it, then we're screwed.
Yeah.
Right? So not a problem in terms of somebody capturing our handprint, but because we are using
Uh-oh. Can I hear?
sorry, a key was
Okay,
just
never.
entered
Okay,
by
never
mistake.
mind. I was
Because we're capturing something that is unchangeable, that is a problem. So if they would have said a palm print and a pin code, right? Then that starts to make sense. And the
yeah.
reason it starts to make sense is because at the point of entry, your palm print is going to be encrypted by a pin code. The combination of the two makes it unique and makes it changeable. Okay. So, and then over the wire, the only thing that is being sent is something that can change in the future if you need it to. That is what would make it a lot more logical to use. But if the option that it gives you and the convenience that it gives you is that you just put your palm print and you can continue, right? I would say run to the other direction and don't use that, right? Because that means it's not safe. Look, we're using fingerprints today in port of entries, right, to the U.S.
Yeah.
The U.S. government. That is also not a good, secure method. The fact that the government just holds the biometrics of immigrants and visa workers, right? Yeah, they do, and they probably secure it in a very in the best way they can. You know, by the cheapest contender in the government contract, but it's like it's it's still stored plainly and can definitely be duplicated somehow. So
Okay. All right.
it's not enough to be encrypted. That's all.
Oh,
Just understand
I'm just
the.
wondering if when you go shopping at Whole Foods and you're picking up potatoes and they're dirty and you go to check out, they won't let you check out because your hand is dirty, your palm is dirty. Anyway.
I find that enabling palm print biometrics, right, in this time of age is so bizarre. It's like
Huh?
I would understand if you would say retina scanning, right? At least there's no contact.
Yeah. Oh,
But
wait,
now you're
wait,
talking
wait.
about
Hold it.
putting your
Hold
hand
it.
where other
Hold it.
people put their hand.
Hold it. Yeah, I didn't finish the article though.
Okay.
It says, and before you worry too much about COVID-19 transmission or future pandemics, Amazon One works when you hover your palm over the scanner, unlike some handprint tech.
So it's not using the fingerprint pattern. It's using hand. There's hand shape recognition.
Yeah,
it
you
sounds
know,
like.
your life is real long and you have this long line
No,
over
no, no. You're talking about all of the features on the hand. There's
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
there's a method. Israel used to use it in their port of entry, where it looks at the shape of your hand, basically, and apparently it's unique enough to identify.
Well,
Yeah.
anyway, you just hover it over it. You don't touch. So don't worry about COVID.
Why
And-
don't
There is
they use
actually
cell phones? I don't understand.
exactly.
Like,
Yeah.
This is the
pretend
best
it's
thing right
yeah,
now.
pretend it's Apple Pay. I mean, they have scanners anyway, so you open up the Amazon app or the Whole Foods app, and you hold your phone over the thing, and it like why do you need to use your hand? I think that's a sneaky way to like get people's hands.
That's what they want.
Information.
The bottom
it's
line
a-
is that's
Yeah.
what they want.
They
Yeah,
want
just
to
use a
tie
cell
you to
phone.
Yeah.
the ecosystem completely, of course.
And
Right now, I agree with Katie. The phone is probably the most secure way of payment right now that you have in your hand, better than the credit card.
Yeah,
right?
everybody has
Because
a
it
cell phone
encodes the
anyways.
credit card. It doesn't transfer the credit card information to the supplier, right? Any biometrics that is stored in something that stays in your hand, never goes and being transmitted. So right now, this is the best solution, and it should stay that way. It should always be something that if something is reading your biometrics, it is in your hands. And this is for now, I think, the best solution. Going forward, I don't think it was anything that they envisioned in sci-fi originally, right? Everybody was thinking about direct biometrics, but no. Use a device that you own to read your biometrics and to and that encodes the information about you, and then it transfers things securely between the two parties. That's
but
the
that's not
best
what
method
Amazon
right now.
wants. Amazon wants the stuff.
Yeah,
Because in about a
and
year
I
or
think-
so, they're going to have a database of
yeah,
palm
They're gonna
prints.
they're gonna sell the information to the U.S. government, like
but
23andMe.
nobody who listens to Computer 2K now will use it, right?
And there's something else about Amazon.
Sign the pledge in the chat now. Sign the pledge.
Amazon.com hasn't just bought a maker of robot vacuum cleaners.
Oh, a mapper of
It's-
homes.
It's acquired a mapping
Yeah.
company. To be more precise, a company that can make maps of your home. Now, I'm sure that they have use for it. I mean, most people don't really send the vacuum all over the house, so I don't know.
Wait a minute, isn't that just blueprints? I mean, isn't that public information online for
Well,
like government tax stuff?
I know, but I mean, there must be something to this here. Where there's smoke, there's fire. So, if I was saying, oh, if I had one of them that was Wi-Fi that will send information, I mean, it's not going to go in every room. So, what kind of a distorted map are they going to have? It's interesting, but they're doing it. I mean, the story here is that they are acquiring maps of your home, map of your palm, things like that. And that was the gist of the story as far as what I saw in it. But here is something that you need to be aware of. Windows again. Microsoft has published a knowledge base article acknowledging a problem with encryption acceleration in the newest versions of Windows that could result in data corruption. The company recommends installing the June 2022 security update for Windows 11 and Windows Server 2022 to prevent further damage. Though there are no suggested solutions for anyone who has already lost data because of the bug. The initial fix for the problem provided in Windows June 2022 security update package. This is the Windows 11 build 22,000.778, will prevent further damage at the cost of reduced performance, suggesting that the initial fix was to disable encryption acceleration on these processors entirely. Using BitLocker encrypted disks or the Transport Layer Security TLS protocol or accessing encrypted storage on servers will be slower with the first patch installed, though installing the July 2022 security update should restore performance to its previous level. So I think there was a typo here because I guess they were saying that they recommend to install the July 2022 security update.
Yes.
Just be aware. All right.
The initial fix was the June one.
Yeah.
And then the July one came out and fixes the performance issue.
Yeah. We were talking about phones. The Sydney Morning Herald has reported that a local high school has seen a dramatic decrease in behavioral issues and a boost in physical activity and students talking to each other just 2 months after it tightened restrictions on mobile phone usage. The school's principal tells the newspaper that in 8 weeks of the policy, there has been a 90% reduction in behavioral issues related to phones in the school. He said it was so clear that mobile phones hindered students' learning and focus in classroom and stunted their emotional and social intelligence. He said phone usage also contributed directly to conflicts between students. This is just one school, so it's not the gospel, but it's interesting to see
What are they
something like
doing?
that. They had to completely give the phone,
Their
check
teacher?
it when they walk into the school. They did not have a phone.
Oh,
They had to tear down a cell phone tower.
because
But I think I think
remember-
that's common practice around here.
I don't
Already.
think so.
no when
Here in the county, yes.
granted I went
Really?
to school.
Yeah,
I
it's
remember
probably
Shai
different
in
now.
high school, all of his classes were like that.
When I was going through high school, it was still the wild west of phones, and it was keep them off and in your locker, but there was
Yeah,
no
yeah, or in
there
your
was
bag.
no
Somebody
there was
check
no,
and see if
no
really in
check
our
system.
if it's like this, like God's saying. That's interesting.
Well, it
'cause
depends on the school. It depends on the
Yeah.
district. I mean, the school can have their own policy. A
Last-
district can have their own policy. I mean, it's very
last thing I knew is you can keep it in your backpack, but only use it in case of emergency.
Yeah.
That's how it started, yeah.
they don't-
because when schools understood that they cannot ban the entry of the phone to the school, but during class, at least, I know that Shai's experience was every single class had they bought these shoe racks from those the ones that you hang from IKEA pockets.
Oh.
Pockets. Just everybody
names.
just puts their phone there on the entrance. It's visible and all that on silent. And and
Interesting.
during the class, unless some classworks require, you go do some searches on the web and stuff like that. So you can get that phone. That's part of the hack. But during class, those phones are away from them.
All right,
That
I
was
don't.
cool.
like,
I had a
this
Razor flip phone, and that was like the best.
I remember having the original iPhone in middle school when it first came out, and I was hot shit. I remember that.
No, I didn't get my first smartphone until I graduated college, and I got a big girl job.
This was back when they would do, and we talked about this a couple weeks ago. It was like what, $99 or something, as long as you had a 2-year contract, and they
Yep.
just gave you the phone. Those are the good old days. I mean,
That's why I have an iPhone, and it's not because I wanted to be Mac or Apple or I wanted to be Android. It's because they said for $100 I could get an iPhone 4, and I was like, hell yeah! So, and that's
exactly what I
now
did.
I'm stuck in their ecosystem.
Yeah. Yep.
All
Yeah,
right.
now
You're
I don't know if I
making
wanna get a new phone.
big person money now. You can switch.
It's the principle of the thing. Like I don't like what I don't want to spend
understand you. No,
$1,200 for a phone when 10 years ago I only had to spend $100 for a phone. And it just and again, I get irrationally angry over this stupid stuff and
Right, but you paid $100 for a phone, right, on a very expensive plan. Remember that.
I mean at the time
The
it was
prices were
35
built into your monthly payment.
at the
You
time.
just never felt them.
No, I didn't have unlimited data at the time. I went with the cheapest plan possible, and now it's
You
like the
can still do it
opposite.
with a different phone.
And now it's the opposite. The phone is more expensive than the plan now. But at the
Yeah.
time, it's a hot mess. It's dumb.
So
I almost switched to Android because I was trying to get my phone and they kept I don't know, like misdelivering it or whatever. I never got it. And I was like, screw this. And I was gonna buy an Android, but then I got it the next day and I was like, okay, you dodged a
Understand
bullet.
one thing. Just understand one thing, and this is for the listeners as well. There is iPhone, there is Samsung, and there is Android. When you're talking about an Android, understand that Samsung is a separate class of its own within the Android ecosystem, and it's like Apple. There's no difference in the way they try to lock you in. They're less successful in it, but they try to, right?
Mhm.
So don't pay the Samsung fee, don't pay the Apple fee. If you're looking to buy something else, don't go there. I would also say don't buy the Google one, not the Pixel. Yes, hardware wise, these machines are terrific, right? But they're not worth the money.
Mhm.
Then there's everything else Android. And that's where you start seeing value, and that's when you start seeing good content.
Mhm.
Right? So understand that. If you're looking for a way to redeem yourself outside of the Apple ecosystem and say, okay, this was worth it, don't buy a Samsung, don't buy a Google.
I'm not gonna get another phone for 10 years because I spent a boatload of money on this phone, and so now I gotta make it last. But who
Same.
knows? The phones all die within 2 years anyway, so they want you to force you to get a new phone.
I had my last phone for a long time. I don't remember what it was before I got this.
Nobody
So-
can say that they had a phone longer than I do. So stop that.
Well, yeah, well, I mean,
All right, listen to this
yeah,
now.
never mind.
Starlink, like any emerging technology, those satellite components are being hacked. Leonard Wooters, a security researcher at
What about Hooters?
Wooters at the Belgian University KU Leuven, will reveal one of the first security breakdowns of Starlink's user terminals. The satellite dishes, the dishy McFlat face, that are positioned on people's homes and buildings at the Black Hat Security Conference in Las Vegas. He will detail how a series of hardware vulnerabilities allow attackers to access the Starlink system and run custom codes on the devices. To access the satellite dish software, Wooders physically stripped down a dish he purchased and created a custom hacking tool that can be attached to the Starlink dish. The hacking tool, so they're hacking that, but what they're doing is they can actually get to the satellite. So you say, well, I'm not going to let anybody get on my roof to put one of these things, right? Because we always think about our machines doing something. No, but here you can just subscribe to Starlink and put the device, if you're a malicious actor, and put the device on the antenna and break into the satellites and wreak havoc.
How is this any different than the whole Max Headroom thing? Or the guy that hacked HBO, the guy that was at the HBO uplink.
Yeah.
In when was that? The late 80s or early 90s, and hijacked HBO for a couple of minutes and put some messages on there. I mean, it's really no different than that.
I don't know. And they're saying that SpaceX has issued an update to make the attack harder.
Yeah.
But the underlying issue can't be fixed unless the company creates a new version of the main chip. So all existing user terminals are vulnerable. That's that's bad. Bad.
And they make them fall out of the sky.
I don't know. You mean they break in and they go, come on.
Switch them off. Switch the what's it called? There's thrusters, right? That
Yeah.
do corrections. So
Here is something else, and I have not heard about this before. Despite previously claiming the dog walk vulnerability did not constitute a security issue, Microsoft has now released a patch to stop attackers from actively exploiting the vulnerability. The vulnerability, known as CVE 2022, blah, 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 or dog walk, allows attackers to exploit a weakness in the Windows Microsoft Support Diagnostic Tool, MSDT. By using social engineering or phishing, attackers can trick users into visiting a fake website or opening a malicious document or file and ultimately gain remote code execution on compromised system. Dog walk. So now
I would agree with Microsoft here, but it's a technicality. So this is again media, right?
Yeah.
Creating a headline about nothing. There was a flaw. They never said the flaw didn't exist. They said it does not constitute as a vulnerability because to get to that point, you need to pass
Right.
so many hurdles,
Yeah.
right? So yes, once social engineer through a social engineering scheme, you will get to a point where you get that payload.
Mhm.
You might be creating vulnerability, but you need to go through so many hoops, right? And Microsoft cannot patch people; they can only patch systems. So, um, so yeah, they created a patch to make sure that that flaw, that potential vulnerability, cannot be exploited, and that's fine. But still, it's like not a big deal. It's not like putting they're trying to put Microsoft in the place that you said it was nothing. Why did you fix it? Right? It's like, come on.
Well, um, and to wrap it up here, Meta has been rewriting websites its users visit, letting the company follow them across the web after they click links in its apps, according to a new research from ex-Google engineer. That's coming from The Guardian. The two apps have been taking advantage of the fact that users who click on links are taken to web pages in an in-app browser controlled by Facebook or Instagram, rather than sent to the user's web browser of choice, such as Safari or Firefox.
Which is what Google does, which is what TikTok does, which is what Facebook does, Twitter does. Every single app does that. It's like, what's the news
I always, whenever I click on any links, it goes to Firefox.
on your phone? He's talking about the phone.
Okay, on the phone, the only time that I see something like this and when there is an Amazon notice and I click on it and it opens a weird
Because it creates a web view
yeah,
control
I
or
close
something
that.
like that. It's basically a browser that they control.
Yeah, I
Gall's
normally
right, 'cause, Discord does it. Anytime you click on a link on a mobile device, it opens up, but you're still in the Discord app, you're still in TikTok, it just accesses the browser. But
Yeah.
if you wanna get off their browser, there's there's like a button you can push on the bottom that will open it up in the browser of your choice. Like on my
Yeah.
iPhone, there's like a Safari button I can click, so then it'll open up in Safari for me. So sometimes I stay on natively in their browser in Discord or in TikTok. But if I'm actually gonna do something like buy something or actually spend time on the website, I open it up in the browser because trying to use Discord or TikToks or Facebook's website thing browser is not good. It's like not optimized well or whatever. Like none of my bookmarks are there, none of my stuff's there that helps me browse things. So I just open it up and then close the other
Okay.
one.
But
And
that has been the case for years. Like it's nothing new. That's why I'm like trying to understand what the news
I don't know.
article is about.
I guess in my case, it's because I don't use the phone to do all that stuff. So
Was the
that's
article
why I didn't know.
specifically for mobile or was it for desktop? Because if it was for desktop, then that's like a whole other can of worms.
Today, when they say apps, they can be talking about desktop or phone.
And when they say apps, it's mobile.
The Instagram app injects their tracking code into every
Instagram app,
website
that's a mobile
shown,
thing.
I
including
did
when
read
clicking on
something
ads, enabling. Keep
a
going.
few months ago that said that it was specifically with Facebook that when you clicked on a link on Facebook in the browser on your computer, it attached a bunch of codes to the URL, and there was a Chrome extension or some kind of extension that would delete those codes because those were like tracker codes when you went off of Facebook or whatever, and they changed that now to combat the extensions that got rid of those codes. Now, I'm not super tech savvy, so I don't know if that's like true or not or whatever, but that sounded like a problem because that wasn't mobile, that was on the browser.
Well, we were talking about this. I think I don't remember if it was Firefox or Chrome, or we're switching this on by default.
Ah,
The
okay.
removal of those extensions or something like that. I
Okay.
haven't seen it in action, so I can't comment on how effective it is. But I think the real problem is also not while you're browsing more than when you're sharing a link. Because when you're sharing a link, you're also sharing all of the tracking information about that link to somebody else, right?
Mhm.
And that's part of the reason these extensions, if we want to call them, have been have been created, have been used, because that provides a lot of information to the source who sends it out. But
Uh, to
I mean, I don't know. I don't know
to
about the
to
effectiveness of removing
to
it.
maybe answer the question here about where is the news. I don't know that this is the news. He say he discovered the code injection by building a tool that could list all the extra commands added to a website by the browser. For normal browsers and most apps, the tool detects no changes. But for Facebook and Instagram, it finds up to 18 lines of code added by the app. Those lines of code appear to scan for a particular cross-platform tracking kit, and if not installed, instead called the Meta Pixel, a tracking tool that allows the company to follow a user around the web and build an accurate profile of their interest. The company does not
So
disclose to the
okay.
user that it's rewriting. No such code is added to the in app browser of WhatsApp, according to Kraus research. It is unclear
Uh,
when Facebook began injecting code to track users after clicking links.
I understand what
So,
he's saying. I understand the news article now,
yeah.
right? And it sounds like boohoo. Everybody's been doing it for a long time.
Okay.
But now this article is specifically targeted at Meta. So here's the thing. There's this, it's a known thing that, or if you haven't noticed then please do notice that when you click a link from inside an app, you are uh, some of the apps, they allow you to define open it in my browser, but by default, they will open it in an internal browser, basically, a browser of their own. That browser usually is based on the code base of the browser that's already installed, but as the article stated, it's completely controlled by the calling app, right? In this case, Instagram and stuff. The article specifically is about the Meta solution for that browser, which also adds some tracking information regardless of which site you're going to, right? Because every site today, almost every site, by the way, guys, Amnon site currently doesn't track anybody.
Nope.
But every site today, right, tries to track their users or at least is linked to some sort of ad network that tracks users' behavior in order to feed them ads. So what the article is trying to scare people off is, hey, you should know that Meta, once you're using their browser, as long as you're in their browser, they're tracking you.
Yeah.
I would say that is old news, right? And that is also correct for every single application. So this is also true for Gmail, right? If you open from your Gmail application, whether Android or iPhone, where you open Gmail application, you're clicking on the link, you get a web view within Gmail, and Google is tracking you. If you use with Yahoo, then Yahoo is tracking you. It's the same thing. It doesn't matter which company you're talking about. So
Interesting.
and it's the equivalent of running a browser with an extension that tracks you, right? No, regardless which application you're using. So be
Okay.
aware. It's not news, but be aware.
Yeah. Interesting. Interesting. Okay. Well, it's that time. I didn't realize that Nick left.
Yeah, yeah, to live.
Yeah. But it's this time of day. Anything else anybody wants to add? Nope. All right. So thanks, Gal. Thanks, Katie.
No problem. Glad I can contribute.
Mhm. And good morning, Kathy, Hannah, Nabil, Mac, Norm, Katie and Donna, Dina, Eleanor, Sarid. Did I say Katie and Donna? I did. Yaakov and Yael. No, it's Donna, not Katie's here already. Thank you for tuning to Computers 2K Now. We hope you enjoyed and maybe learned something from our time together. Remember to practice safe computing, back up your hard drive, and update your virus scanner. We'll be back here next Sunday at 9, but you can always reach us at computers2know.com. And remember, Monday through Friday, 6 to 9 a.m., Nick is on Wilmington's 980 The Wave and 107.9 FM with his daily news show. You can tell your Echo device or others to play 980 The Wave. Or you can always go to the recordings at nickcraig.com. And Tuesdays at 7 p.m., Nick and Brian do the Infection podcast on Twitch. That's for survival games and gaming news. So Tuesday at 7 p.m., twitch.tv/Infection Podcast. Enjoy. Have a great week. See you next week.
You are tuned to the Nissan Communications Network. If you tuned in too late, you can always watch each program in its entirety or download an MP3 audio file of it in the archives section at nissancommunications.com. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Twitter, and like us on Facebook. Sponsored by StreamingGear.com, Carolina Apparel, and DeltaForce.net.